Hello and welcome. You tuned into Buy Now Sell Now with me, Ankita Saxena, and this is a show where we get all your questions answered by our experts. You can send in your queries to us and the buying price of the share and the holding period, and we will get them answered by our experts. But first up, let's take stock of how the market is shaping up right now. Well, we did see, from get-go, in fact, the market spiked up because we had a positive global handover coming in. In fact, US market had done very well. In fact, specifically Nasdaq, because of the earnings that came in for the IT majors, that was above what the street was penciling in. And the back of that, the entire Nasdaq pack was doing very well. And the back of that, today the IT pack in India is also doing very well. But as of now, Nifty has cooled off from the day's highs. It's cooled off 150 points from the day's high right now. But nonetheless, it's trading with gains of 0.4%. Nifty Bank also, Nifty Bank is doing better than Nifty. It has cooled off. It has cooled off from the highs right now, but nonetheless it is trading up 0.6%. Even the broader markets are looking good. Nifty Midcap is trading with gains. Nifty Midcap is doing pretty well. It is trading with gains of 0.5%. Now it's cooled off and it's trading with gains of 0.3%. But small caps also are outperforming today. They are trading with gains of 0.8%. So currently, from the day's highs, even the broader markets have cooled off a bit, just like Nifty and Nifty Bank. But nonetheless, they're holding on to strong gains coming in today. Also, sectorally, if Nifty Auto is in the fast lane, that is trading with gains of almost 1%. The PSU banking pack is back in action. Amongst the banking pack, the PSU pack is doing very well. SBI, UCO Bank, Maharashtra Bank, PNB, they're all trading with gains of 1% odd. Nifty IT, like I mentioned, the IT names have surged on the back of a good set of earnings coming in on Wall Street for Nasdaq, and also their outlook, a positive outlook coming in from the majors is really buoying the sentiment for the IT pack. Look at Persistent System, that's up 2.7%. Coforge is up 2.4%. Emphasis, Wipro, LTI Mindtree, they're all trading with gains of 1% right now in trade. So largely, net, it's a good day for the markets. It's a good start to the month of May. The market breadth looks tilted in the favor of advances, and India VIX has also cooled off to 1.3% as of now. So largely, markets look good. Adani Ports, another name to mention here, that's trading up 5.5% on the back of earnings that came in for Adani Enterprises. Even Adani Ports, Adani Enterprises, both came out with their earnings. And Adani Ports is the top Nifty gainer, and Adani Enterprise also trading up 1.5% in trade as of now. So Shriyansi, that's how the market is looking like. Largely, it's a good day, good start to the month of May.
Well, absolutely. Looks like it's a good start to the month of May. A very good morning to you, Ankita. And I'll add one more name to the list. IndusInd Bank is the one that you should be looking at on the back of that 2% uptick that we're also focusing in on. You do have sources that tell us that market regulator SEBI has found no evidence of insider trading. Let's go across to Ankur, who's standing by with all of those important details. Ankur, over to you.
Sources say that SEBI has found no evidence in the insider trading against the key executives of IndusInd Bank. Remember, there was a preliminary probe as per sources which was conducted by SEBI regarding the share sale which was done by former MD and CEO Sumant Katpalia as well as Deputy CEO Khurana, whereby we understand that due to ESOPs, there was share which was sold worth 134 crores by Sumant Katpalia earlier, and similarly more than 50 crore by Arun Khurana. So all in all, SEBI had collected all the evidence. They have studied whether or not there was a disclosure which was made, but it was found that there is no evidence where it proves that there is a kind of insider trading. Meaning, the information was there regarding forex discrepancy with these two key executives, but there is no correlation where it can be proved that there is a case of insider trading, and therefore we understand that SEBI has found no merit in insider trading case in the IndusInd Bank case, where the allegation was that Sumant Katpalia or Arun Khurana might have sold shares with a privy of knowledge. But all in all, it seems to be good news for the former executives of IndusInd Bank, where SEBI will not probe further in the insider trading case.
IndusInd Bank is concerned, that is what sources are telling us bright and early this morning. Tell you what, let's connect with our guest as well. Before we do that, the number that you can write to us at is going to be flashing on the top of your screens as well as on your screens. Do remember to mention the buy price for the stocks that you're already invested in, for the ones that you're hoping to hold on to. Time horizon is something that you should also be mentioning. But with that in mind, let's connect with our guest. Sharmila Joshi is joining us, and we do of course also have Kunal Bothra. A very good morning to the both of you. The first query, Sharmila, that I have is coming in on Ircon International. I wanted to know what you think about this, because Falak is writing to us about this particular counter. 200 shares at a buy price of 230 rupees thereabout, holding on to, sitting at a huge loss in fact when it comes to this counter. So what do you make of it?
I'm afraid I'm never, Ircon. That's what I was about to say, that I haven't got the name correctly. Ircon International. So not a very, I don't have a very positive view, but I think at this price you need to continue to hold. My first target would be closer to 180 rupees.
All right, so then that's the take coming as far as Ircon International is concerned. The next one that we actually have, Kunal, is coming in from Anju, who's a senior citizen, writing to us from Chandigarh, wants to know about 300 shares of Adani Power. 645 rupees was the buy price. What do you make of this particular counter as well?
Yeah, I think you can just hold on to the stock. I'm not very bullish on Adani Power, but my belief is that the stock on the short to medium term charts could probably make a dash back again towards the 200 DMA. Say closer to 575, 600 range could be a near-term target which you can expect for Adani Power. But I think that could be a best enough zone where you can expect that the stock may land up to in the very short term, unless I think you're looking at this holding on to the stock from long term, as well as you're looking to add the stock further at lower levels. I think only in that scenario I would suggest you to hold on to the stock. But I think other than that, you would probably get into a zone where the stock may bounce back. Closer to the 575, 600 mark. That's a zone where you should look to exit or book full profits.
All right, moving on then. Sharmila, I'll come back to you. This is Balan who's writing in. He said that he wants to know which of these banks are worth buying. Is it the AU Small Finance Bank, Federal Bank, Bank of Maharashtra, IDFC or Indian Bank? The couple of banking names that he's given, but which one of the two banking names are worth buying at this current juncture?
So the names were AU Finance,
AU Small Finance Bank, Federal, Bank of Maharashtra, IDFC and Indian Bank.
So, everybody likes Indian Bank a lot. I think there's great value in that. And the other two that you could possibly look at could be Federal Bank and the IDFC. So, you must bear in mind that all these banks are sort of like an IDFC is a privately owned bank, whereas Indian Bank would be a PSU. But within the PSU space, a good quality bank. So probably, go with IDFC and Indian Bank. So that will give you a flavor of both a privately held bank as well as a public sector bank, and see where it takes you.
And that's a take coming in as far as some of those banking counters are concerned. Kunal, just a short while ago, we of course had the important update coming in as far as IndusInd Bank is concerned. We also have Kishore Bajaj who's writing to us from Pune, writing to us about IndusInd Bank, 400 shares at, has not really mentioned the buy price, but what do you make of this particular counter? Because he's saying that he invested in the counter just about 5 years ago with those 400 shares.
So I would suggest to hold on to the stock as of now. I understand that it's been in the thick of a lot of negative news flow, but the price action in the last 1 week, 10 days has started to emerge a lot more positive, or at least not very pessimistic, because there have been some negative news for the stock, and post that we've actually seen the stock just about reacting maybe for a couple of days on the downside, but then it makes a comeback eventually. That quality of the stock, I think, is a indicator that maybe the prices have started to factor in the worst in terms of the news flow. The only concern with a stock like IndusInd Bank is because when you have such kind of a news flow which has been flowing over the last 2-3 months, it's very difficult to anticipate that when the news flow would start to turn positive for the stock. So that question mark or that zone of uncertainty would still hang around to the stock price, and that could create some incremental amount of volatility. But looking at your history of the last 5 years that you've been holding on to the stock, I would suggest that hold on to it for at least another couple of years. Maybe once the news flow starts to become a lot more positive, you would see an eventually strong turnaround to the stock price.
All right, so that's the word coming in on IndusInd Bank. A lot of bank queries coming in now. I'll come to you. This is Mohit, who's writing from Ludhiana. He wants to know, he has 500 shares of Bandhan Bank. He's bought it at a price of 187 rupees. He wants to know what would be your guidance for the next 2 years. Now, Bandhan Bank is an earnings candidate. It has come out with its earning. In fact, a bullish note by Macquarie also, that sees an 30% upside on bank. They are bullish on Bandhan Bank, citing long-term improvements, despite the near-term pressures on margins and asset quality. But Sharmila, tell us for the next 2 years, what do you see for Bandhan Bank?
Well, at the current price, it looks good. I don't know about next couple of years, but at this price and given the kind of numbers that they've had, as well as the valuations the stock is currently trading at, to my mind, it's a hold. I think that you can expect a target of around 190 rupees and then take another call, revisit the stock, and then decide whether you want to stay invested for a further period. But as of now, my advice would be to hold.
That's a whole recommendation coming in as far as Bandhan Bank then is concerned. Kunal, I'll tell you what, I'll come to you with the next one because we do have Sanvi writing to us from Gurugram. Wants to know about 50 shares of Birlasoft. It hasn't really mentioned the buy price, but what do you make of this particular counter with, say, about 3 months in mind?
See, I think you should hold on to the stock, and prime reason for that is the last candlestick pattern for Birlasoft is a bullish, a very strong bullish hammer kind of a candlestick pattern or a doji. So that I believe is a very strong indicator that the stock may get into at least another 2 to 3 months of a turnaround. And if that happens, you could be looking at the stock bouncing off to at least 440, 450 mark in the very near term. See, the targets could probably vary if the news flow starts to become better for the entire IT sector as such. But I believe on the short-term charts, there is a strong case of a bounce for Birlasoft. I would suggest a hold.
All right, hold call coming in on Birlasoft. But moving on to the next query, Sharmila, I'll come to you. This one's from Sandeep from Hyderabad. He's bought 500 shares of BHEL at a buying price of 233 rupees per share. What is the target price for Kunal, you'll have to take this one. What is the target price for the next 2 to 3 months? The target price for BHEL, which has been bought at 233 per share.
See, I think, you can hold on to the stock as of now. A couple of things I've been tracking the stock very closely for, BHEL. The stock has a major resistance around the 200 DMA, which I think, if I'm not wrong, is around the 240 mark for BHEL. The recent high 2 day back or 3 day back was around 234, 235 for BHEL, and from there the stock has seen a mild reversal. So it's a good stock. It's recovered quite well. 185 thereabouts has been a huge support. The stock has bounced off from those levels. I believe it should take a little bit more time. So I'm not sure whether the time frame which you're mentioning, whether in that time frame the stock can do cartwheels. But I believe that if you can hold on to it for say another 6 months to 1 year plus kind of a time frame, then you can expect that the stock may break past about this 200 DMA as well as a major resistance and come back into a very decent kind of an uptrend. So hold is what I would recommend and extend your time horizon.
Alright, then that's the take coming in as far as BHEL then is concerned. Sharmila, I'll come to you with the next one. What do you think about Persistent Systems as well as L&T? Because we do have Satya Veni, who's writing to us from Hyderabad, wants to know about L&T. 380 shares at a buy price of about 3,700 rupees, and Persistent Systems, it's 90 shares, buy price about 5,900 rupees.
So let's talk of Persistent Systems first. Yes, I think going forward, the environment in the US is not very positive for IT as a play. But given that, I think the kind of valuations Persistent is at this price, as well as their quality of earnings, etc., warrant it to be a hold. I would also say that it's a hold for Larsen because we have seen a sort of a across the market correction, but a correction come in the sort of infra space, and you spoke of BHEL a little while earlier. So to my mind, if you are building a long-term portfolio of stocks like a Larsen, BHEL, they need to find a place in it. But these are very sort of long-term stories waiting to play out, and so if you are a long-term investor, definitely keep holding on to Larsen.
All right, for the long term, hold on to BHEL. But moving on then to the next question, Kunal, coming to you, Sanoop is asking, she has 100 shares of Shriram Finance, and at the current situation, what's the best thing to do? She wants to know whether she should sell it or hold on to it for a longer period.
See, from a long-term play, I would suggest that you should hold on to Shriram Finance. I think it's a quality NBFC name. there is no doubt about it, that the stock, from a long-term play would look very attractive. Now, the concern which is emerging is the sectoral trend. Now, the sector rotation patterns. Like, for example, in December, Jan and Feb, there was a point where NBFCs, financial services as a pocket, was looking very strong on a relative basis. And from there, stocks like Shriram Finance, I think they have done reasonably well. It's moved on from 500 to 700 mark. But then in the last 1 week, 10 days, we're also seeing some reversal or rotation back again from the financials, especially the NBFC pocket, to private sector banking names. So we are in that phase where there has been a bit of a juggle from the usual performers like Shriram Finance, etc., into the other private sector banking names. It's a phase which could last for another couple of months. So for the next 1 or 2 months, you might see some bit of disappointment in terms of the price trends for Shriram Finance. But if you're a long-term investor and you're determined to hold on to the stock for long-term, then I would believe that it's a very good quality name. You should hold on to the stock on the long-term basis.
Alright, and that's a take coming in as far as that particular counter is concerned. That's Shriram Finance for you. Sharmila, I'll come to you with the next one because we do have Hemavati who is writing to us about a couple of counters. So Bajaj Auto as well as Polycab are the ones that she's looking at. 50 shares of both of these. And the buy price for Bajaj Auto is about 9,500 rupees. For Polycab, it is 5,600 rupees. What do you make of both of these counters?
Well, Polycab had a bit of a issue in between with some corporate governance issues, but it seems to have recovered from that. Overall, it's the sector sort of that I like, and this may not have been my preferred play within that, but since you have it, I think you can continue to hold Polycab at this level. It, given its earnings and valuations, it seems reasonable. I'm more positive on the two-wheeler story. But within that space, we have three major listed players: TVS, Hero Motors, and Bajaj Auto. I think at this point in time, I like Hero Motors best. But that said, Bajaj Auto is also nicely poised. I think, the problem that arises for a Bajaj Auto is that its export basket is fairly large now. So, when you have little hiccups in the geographies that it is exporting to, you do see a little bit of a negative impact coming in on the numbers. But overall, given the context of where we are and the kind of numbers that they are doing, to my mind, from a longer term perspective, again, this is an excellent stock to continue to hold on.
Alright, then that's a take coming in as far as that particular counter is concerned. Tell you what, the next one that we have is coming in on BSE as well as CDSL. We do have Radhakrishna from Bengaluru writing to us, wants to know about both of these counters. Do you have also any targets in mind when it comes to BSE and CDSL?
See, BSE is a fantastic chart. The stock has managed to withstand most of the difficult phases of the markets and still, stand strong in terms of the trend. So, still looks attractive. There is just a minor candlestick pattern which has been negative for BSE 2 days back or 3 days back when the stock formed a gravestone doji pattern, candlestick. So that could probably have an impact on the near-term trend for BSE. Maybe the stock could correct towards say 6,000 mark or thereabouts. So that could be a point where you may look to add average or maybe look to start investing if you're a long-term investor. And CDSL, on the other hand, the stock is showing signs of more of plateauing out. 1300 could be a good pivot point if you're looking to invest into stocks like CDSL.
All right. Positive view coming in on BSE for the long term. But coming to you now, Sharmila, this is. They have not given their name, but they want to know about a long-term perspective on the capital goods space. Now, they want a couple of stocks to be suggested with the, how can they park their money in capital good names for the long term? There is no name given here, but a couple of capital good theme, Sharmila. What do you make of that?
So let's talk about the theme first. I think it's a great theme to really pick in the Indian context, because where we are in our sort of stage of development and the kind of everything that we require, whether it is roads, ports, everything, that sort of indicates a very broad spectrum of activities that are still waiting to happen, and which is why I think capital goods as a space will find its place. If we have to kind of do the kind of GDP etc. that we are talking of, then these stocks have to you will see these companies getting orders and therefore these stocks doing well. So I think you should, the way I would look at it is that you should try and have, if you don't have any stocks within that space, try and have a sort of a mixed set of stocks. Some are which are old school sort of a stock like a BHEL or a Larsen or a Siemens even. And then I think if you were to want to make it broader, then you could look at a stock like maybe even like a Suzlon, or which has of late started doing well, or maybe even something like an AI engineering or something like that. So I think the spectrum is pretty broad here, but I do like stocks like a Larsen, BHEL, Siemens, ABB, Thermax. These are the good names, and all of these are corrected, so they are giving us an opportunity. So my first step would be to invest in that, and then probably I would look at some sort of mid-cap names also.
All right, so those were a couple of names that you could be looking at.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now. And let's continue taking all of your stock-related queries. The next one that we have, Kunal, is coming in from Kusuma, writing to us from Pune. Wants to know about 3 counters, Cochin Shipyard, JSW Energy, Torrent Power. With the next 1 to 2 months in mind, what do you think of all 3 of these counters?
Yeah, I think you can hold on to all 3 of them. They start to look a little bit more attractive. Cochin Shipyard, for example, that stock is heading towards more like a coherent breakout with respect to the other peers. And same is the case with the other 2 names also. So I would suggest to hold on to these stocks.
All right, hold coming in on all these stocks. But moving on then to the next question. This is Mithilesh Kumar who's writing in. He has 700 shares of ITC Hotels received during the stock split. He wants to know whether, as well as the fundamental view is concerned, how long can he be holding the stock, and should he be adding more at the buying price that he's bought at? I'll come to you, Shamila.
Most definitely hold on to what you have, given the kind of properties ITC Hotels has, as well as I think ever since it's listed, the market has been sort of in a corrective mode. So I would think that once the stock sort of settles, as well as the market settles, the stock should do much better. Given that overall my view on this sector is also quite positive, whether it is tourism, whether it is travel, etc., and they have very good properties. So given all that, I think that this is definitely a stock that you should continue to hold on to. As far as adding fresh, I think wait for numbers and then add, but definitely hold on to what you have.
On to ITC Hotels, that's the recommendation coming in from Sharmila as well. Kunal, I'll come to you with the next one because we do have Leena who's writing to us from Mumbai. Leena has mentioned that she's a big fan of yours and she wants to take on a couple of counters, L&T Finance as well as Tata Motors for fresh buys with 12 months in mind.
Welcome back. You're tuned into Buy Now, Sell Now, where we are getting all your queries answered by our experts. So you can keep sending in your questions on the number that's flashing on top of the screen with the stock, the buying price, and the holding period, and we will get your questions answered. So let's resume with all your queries then. Kunal, coming to you now. This is Vaishnavi who's writing from Chennai. She's bought Mazagon Dock 30 shares at a buying price of 2,220 rupees. This was about 8 months back. She needs your advice on what should she do, and she says she's a big fan of yours, Kunal.
Thank you so much for that. So I think on Mazagon Dock, you should continue to hold on to the stock, and I think over the last 3 months we've seen the kind of quality the stock has made a comeback from 2,000 levels to 3,000 plus mark where the stock is trading right now. Looking at the structure of the charts, the stock is confirming a breakout yet again on the monthly and the quarterly basis. So I would believe that the stock should have a decent uptrend. If your time frame is long term, which I think you should be for Mazagon Dock, you could probably expect a much more substantial upside going forward for the stock. So hold is what I would recommend.
All right, a whole recommendation coming in right there on Mazagon Dock. Sharma, I'll tell you what, I'll come back to you with the next query that is coming in from Gautam, writing to us from Mumbai about a couple of these counters. So REC and PFC, what do you think about both of them? And which one do you prefer when it comes to REC versus PFC? What do you make of both of them from a 12 to 18 month time frame in mind?
REC and PFC, both stocks I like. Now the question comes to which do I prefer between these two. I think probably REC at this point in time. I think the valuations are a tad better. Having said that, I think given again, when we talk of infrastructure and where we want to be over the next 5 or 10 years, both these companies have a big role to play. So they had gone up, in fact, little ahead of their valuations. Now valuations for both are looking reasonable. So to my mind, both stocks are good. So if you have them, definitely continue to hold on to. And as I said, between the two, if I were to pick one, that would be REC.
Moving on, but coming to you, Kunal, on REC and PFC also, because Gautam wants a technical take also. On the charts, how does PFC and REC look like to you?
See, I think the only concern with PFC REC is that you'll have to extend your time frame. Looking at it from not just a short-term play, but I think from a long-term play, because long-term charts are very exciting for REC, PFC. It's just that when you look at this from 2020 lows, these stocks were double digits towards a point where the stock ran up 8x, 9x. So there's bound to be a point where these stocks may go into sideways consolidation correction, like what they've been doing over the last 6-9 months. Maybe this consolidation may continue for some more time, but from long term, I would be very bullish on REC, PFC. Would recommend a hold only for a long-term investor.
Alright, then that's a recommendation coming in terms of a hold for REC as well as PFC. The time frame is what you should be looking at more closely when it comes to both of these counters. The next one, Sharmila, that we have is coming in from Krishnan, writing to us from Goa. Wants to know about Infosys, Wipro, Tech Mahindra and HCL Tech, and he's sitting at good profits when it comes to all of these counters, but he wants to know if he should be exiting from some of these, investing money when it comes to the banking pack. What do you make of this?
Well, I think in that sense, IT and banking are two very different types of sectors. Given the fact, given all the fact that all the names that he has mentioned in IT are really export-facing names, and whereas for banking, you are definitely looking at more a domestic growth story and what happens internally in India. So definitely both, to my mind, are very strong sectors to be part of. Yes, I think the IT sector has taken a bit of a hit given the kind of uncertainty that we have in the US, etc., with all this talk of tariffs, how long that takes to settle down, etc. So having said that, I think, probably at this point in time, it might be a very good idea to sort of position yourself in the larger cap IT, and most of the names that you read out were all large cap IT. Within that basket, I don't like Wipro too much. I would probably add HCL Tech instead. In fact, HCL Tech would be the stock that I like best within the basket. So HCL Tech, definitely Infosys, TCS, Tech Mahindra, these could be the kind of stocks that you could be looking at. Again, I must mention that the time frame here you could be looking at could be 18 to 24 months. Banking has begun to do well. Probably you could take a technical view since the bank index hit a new all-time high. So that is literally your only index that has done that in this last in the month of April. So things look, given the fact that we started cutting interest rates, things do it does seem that things look better for banking as a space. So probably if I pick between the two sectors, I would prefer banking over IT. But that said, we are talking of, you are like comparing apples and oranges, so you can't really pick between the two.
Right, Sharmila, Kunal, thank you so much for joining us. This was the last query, viewers. We are completely timed out in this edition of Buy Now Sell Now. We will let you go on that note. But thank you so much for joining us today.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.